let me just. There was a question about Vang and Cunningham and outhaul. So generally, if the outhaul was on, we'll take that off. That was one of the things Heather talked about while we're rounding, right? While she's furling the jib, she's adjusting the main controls. So that would be released. There will be sometimes going downwind where I will look at it and notice that maybe the outhaul was not eased off enough, right? Because you don't want to take it off and leave it off. You want to ease it and then recleat it. Always recleat stuff, right? So I'll look at it and say, hey, I need more, what I'll actually say is, did you ease the outhaul? To which she's like, yes, I eased the outhaul. No, she does it better than that. She says, yes, I did it. I said, okay, ease it again, right? And so it's over a little bit more and then on. I'll tell you, one of the things that I do on my boat is I take a permanent marker and I put at least one line, if not 2 or 3 lines on the outhaul, a thin one, a thicker one, and then a really thick one. And that just helps the crew know where it is. The lines, put the lines wherever you want. The question then is, where are they showing up between this area, right? So if you know on the upwind, the line is right here, now the crew knows, okay, when I go back upwind, when we round that leeward mark, boom, pull it to the outhaul so that black line is right there again. Now you've started with the same setting that you had at the windward mark, right? So now you're set. Now if we need to adjust from there, right, you can adjust from there, but you've at least got it back to the close, right? So yeah, outhaul off downwind. Cunningham would be all the way off, and then Vang is, you're looking at the leech. You don't want your boom to be skying, but you want the Vang on downwind, especially in heavy wind, can be very dangerous. That's when you're gonna be maybe pitch poling or being really overpowered and rounding up. So you've got to ease the Vang before you turn downwind. And then really what you're doing is you're just trying to keep that second batten parallel with the boom as you're sort of looking up at it. The other thing I would say is all of those things are way down the list in importance. You can sail entire races without touching. I mean, if you get the outhaul set for your upwind, if you get the Cunningham, and Cunningham is always last, right? It's outhaul first.
I haven't touched my outhaul or Cunningham this week.
Outhaul first, and then, well, in fact, I would say, yeah, outhaul first, then probably Vang, and then Cunningham. But Cunningham, you can sail long time without ever touching your Cunningham. So those adjustments are microscopic improvements to your speed, right? So I would say worry about those last, after you get all of the other.
Do any of those to show us that?
What's that?
So for the next race, you're not going to mess with any of those to prove your point?
No, I will still adjust them. I'm interested in microscopic.
We practice what we talk about.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go to a jibe next. Were there any questions on just this initial set and down?
You said the second batten, is that the second batten from the bottom or second batten from the top?
From the top.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you Vang it, you'll hook it.
Yeah.
Are you watching your main sail telltales?
Did that make sense, Oliver?
Yes.
What?
So
If you
for
add
them to
Vang, the
stream
more Vang you add, the more you tilt the
away from you.
batten to windward.
yeah. So the question was, what are you doing? Essentially, how are you trimming your main downwind? I honestly kind of base it on where that spinnaker pole is. Is the spinnaker pole goes forward, I kind of like, oh shoot, I should probably trim in my main a little bit. As the spinnaker pole comes back, I'm leading my main out to match, to not necessarily match it, but it's like, all right, I got the boom. The boom and the spinnaker pole are complementary. They're not the same. They're complementary. But yes, as far as trim, right? If you're looking up at the top telltales, they they should be streaming back, maybe stalling some. The upwind, they should be stalling like 75% of the time. Downwind, they should be probably, I would say, streaming 75% of the time. You want a little bit more flow over the main.
Clarify that the telltale streaming on the downwind looks different than the telltale streaming on the upwind.
Yeah, I mean, it's streaming maybe a little bit more back.
You keep them streaming that way?
They should be streaming off the main.
Over and point towards the way you're going.
That's stalled.
Streaming?
Streaming back behind your main.
No, stalling behind the main.
Okay.
Streaming over the main.
Okay, if they're streaming, yes.
But streaming forward.
You guys can cover that when you do it.
Okay.
I would not say
If they're
that.
streaming back, you're on a reach.
Well, maybe that's just how fast we go downwind. Okay. All right. Any other questions about this? Yeah.
Centerboard, if one is going to pull the centerboard up, who does it and when?
Okay. So again, and that is down the list, right? So that is after after we turn down, after we are both in our positions. I've got maximum power in the spinnaker. The main is correct. If there's an inverted batten or whatever, I'm taking care of that. I've looked back to make sure that I'm not being covered. Do I need to come up a little bit to prevent a situation? Are we jibing right away? I'm thinking about all that stuff. If we're going on our route, I like it. I'm just going to reach forward because I'm crouched forward. The crew's entire position, she'll just see, is just watching that curl, and she's easing, curl, pull it in, right? So that's all she's doing. So now I'll reach forward and I will just say centerboard coming up, so that the crew knows that the centerboard is up, so that when, she, for a jibe or whatever, she's stepping across, she's not tripping on it and that sort of stuff. So it's one, again, those last things to worry about. And I would say until you get all this down, right, don't worry about the centerboard. That's a minute improvement.
So again, you won't do it in the next races.
I'm going to do it just as an example to how. All right.
You keep saying they're minute.
Any other questions? Okay. If not, we'll do a jibe. So again, talking to the jibe slowly this time. So the first thing,
Sorry, I do have a real question about that. How much stability does it lose? Like, do you lose a significant amount of stability when you bring the centerboard up?
You lose some stability. I don't know that I would call it significant when you're going downwind, but you do lose stability, which is exactly why as the breeze gets up and there's more wave and stuff, right? The centerboard is going to give you more stability in those conditions. Yep.
Because it's a lovely picture when you're on the ground right here and there's no wave.
Right.
When you're out there and you guys are really doing this, you're in 6 to 8 inch chop, right? And you're running with it because the wind is in that direction. You're still able to keep yourself upright with the centerboard up, but Jimmy, you don't like the centerboard up.
I only bring the centerboard up when I'm sailing right next to them.
Okay.
Because the rest of because as he points out many times, the difference is small. So if I'm not in a situation where there is somebody really close to me, I'm not going to add any extra complexity. Because when you get to that leeward mark, anything that goes wrong at the leeward mark will negate any advantage you gain from a small adjustment. So all the things he's talked about as minute are really important when you're boat for boat with somebody. When you're next to somebody and you're trying to get away from them, those minutia are a big deal. But if you're clear ahead of somebody, then the big deal is a big deal. Right. Keep the boat going in the right way. Don't make mistakes. Pay attention to the shifts. Keep the boat flat. Or heal the weather, which is a different conversation. But those are a big deal. Don't get tangles. Look at your feet. Look around. Make sure that there's nothing tangled in your boat. Make sure your takedown is going to be clear. Make sure you have adequate time at the takedown. those matter more when you are in clear air. But when you're next to another boat, then I start worrying about those details like, should I ease my outhaul? No. Should I blow up my centerboard if I'm close to somebody? Should I use my Vang? Well, hell, I should have done that at the Mark rounding. And if I haven't done that, I better do now. But he's absolutely right. I mean, these guys are the fastest downwind sailors I know. If they're telling you it works, it works. But there is an order of importance.
Yeah.
And so getting that pole against the spinnaker on the set, that is darn near number one on the importance list, because you can't control the spinnaker. Yes, he pointed out a bunch of things from a trimming standpoint. None of those trimming things matter if that pole is not touching that clew, because you can't control it. You lose control of the spinnaker. So when I tell my new crew, to set the pole, they do all the things that Heather did, and Christy talked about, but I tell them, take your time. You get that take your time getting the pole on the ring, but you get that pole out as fast. I don't care if you spend the entire downwind leg holding that dang thing like this.
It's happened.
But get it out there, because once it's out there, now I can sail. I can't sail the boat until that jaw is touching that clew.
And I talk about the big engine, right? Figure out where the big engine, is the spinnaker downwind, right?
Not the electric motor you have underneath your boat.
What's that?
It's not the electric motor under your boat.
No. So the big engine, the driver is the spinnaker, and so that is critical to getting it filled first. Yeah. Okay. Anything else before we jibe? Yeah.
Will you explain to me how you use the Vang on the main again?
The Vang on the main. So we are. So first of all, if you had the Vang engaged upwind, we're going to ease the Vang before or as you're rounding the windward mark, or the offset if there's one, right? If there's an offset, you're easing it on the way to the offset. And then what you're doing is you're looking up the main to try to generally get the second batten and the boom roughly parallel, right? So if you have a lot of Vang on, it's gonna pull the boom down, which cups the main, right? So by easing that a little bit, your boom and second batten are now going to be more parallel. So that's what you're generally looking for, and that will help. You heard Jimmy and I talking about the flow of the telltales, right? That's gonna help that flow. The other thing is, if it is very windy and you have that big cup in your main, you are going to be overpowered downwind, and that's what's might cause a broach or round up. So if you get in that situation, blow the Vang, and that can help save you. Does that help?
Yep.
Okay.